I don't know how to do that.
T.
N.
O.
Woo!
This is a post-analysis show of Survivor South Africa Season 7. Today we're going to discuss Episode 5. We are your hosts, Kobus with the K. Hello, Kobus.
Hey, how's it?
And Claudio, but you can call me Cloudy for short. And we normally start with a recap. So, Kobus, take it away.
Okay, so last week we saw Rosalie getting voted off the island. No surprises there. This week we saw two challenges. First of all, a rewards challenge and an immunity challenge. And then lastly, we're going to discuss the tribal council, Felix getting voted off the island with this tribal council. And then also we have to discuss Jeffrey, getting sent to the island of secrets after the rewards challenge. This episode for me did lack a bit of action. But yeah, that's the way it goes with memory games. Claudio, you were saying with memory games, it's only really fun if you're personally involved in it. So, yeah, what are your takes on that?
Yeah, definitely. I think watching the contestants take part in the memory game, not so exciting. But the exciting bits or the nuggets were the nuances between the actual players. So we had Rob and Nathan, the lovable romance or bromance taking place on the side and them strategizing. And then we had Letitia and Rocco being from the former Lumei tribe inside the Ta'alu tribe, having a little bit of a argy-bargy moment a misogynistic moment where Letitia not being very comfortable with the way in which Rocco was speaking to a typical male, she said.
Yeah.
And then the other bit of Felix, which was ultimately the beginning of his downfall within this episode and what sent him home. He's what was it? He is very undermining towards his teammates during the challenge. So, yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I tend to agree with you there with Felix. He had no time pressure on himself. It wasn't like you had to win the other tribe by getting the matches sooner or faster than them. They had no time pressure, but Felix was commenting, it's got to be today, guys. So he wasn't supportive of his team, and we can chat about that further in a moment when we discuss the immunity challenge. But what was interesting for me once again was, Rob and Nathan on the side strategizing like two thieves wanting to break out of jail. I think those two are going to be two, players to watch. I think they've got the right mind.
Well, they've already been players to watch. So I think there's a lot more to come and make it more exciting.
Definitely. But I think they're playing a solid game. They've got they're thinking long term. They've already started discussing merge and how they want to position themselves and the other players at merge. So that for me is really showing character from their sides. And at the end of the day, it was them also who decided that Jeffrey was going to get sent to the Island of Secrets. They were making that call. They were making that happen. So they're making moves, which is good for me at this stage. And also, obviously Rob is a big physical guy, did super, super well in the physical challenge, in the immunity challenge. And yeah, Nathan wanted actually to throw the immunity challenge. I'm not sure it was a good idea at this stage of the game. What are your thoughts on the immunity challenge, Claudia?
Yeah, very interesting approach, very risky. But I think that's something that is making Nathan a bit enduring and why we're enjoying watching him play. I think he's going balls to the walls and he's playing everything he's got, which makes it super, super exciting to watch. Is it the best time to do something in the game? I don't think so. And to the disappointment, we're going to discuss the wooden spoon at a later stage. But I mean, he gets away with it in the end. And then we know what happens. The tribe, Lumei lose. They go to tribal, and bada bing, bada boom. Felix, he's very undermining towards his teammates. They can't handle it anymore. They blindside him, and he gets sent home. So, which leads us to the next thing. Let's actually get down and let's discuss the Golden Spear, Kobus. And the Golden Spear, for those of you who don't know, this is the move that is played, or the best move that is played throughout the game on this particular episode. That strengthens the position of the players. So Kobus, who do you think deserves the golden spear this time around in episode 5?
Well, I think there's a couple of players who really warrant getting the golden spear at this stage. I definitely think Rob is one of those players. He's thinking, like I mentioned, he's thinking long term, and he's making moves, he's making calls, he's telling lies. Not that it's necessarily a good thing, but where I'm getting at is Rob is playing the game. Then also another player for me who positioned herself rather well was Sipe. I mean, she's the only one from the previous Suhalu tribe who gets thrown into the Lao Mai tribe. Immediately she positions herself, builds an alliance, and people are feeling like they can rely on her, trust her. And she joked about it, say she's like the mother figure of the tribe, and you could see that. She knows what she is, and she knows her characteristics, and she uses it to her advantage, which I think is great. Then also medal for being awake when they won the rewards challenge. She immediately said, like, at places like this in the game, there's gonna be a clue, and she picked up that clue. Like, that is, I've got to give her an A for Survivor gameplay there. And then Jeffrey as well for building himself or building social, how can I put it, island cred for himself, by saying, guys, I had 3 options when he only had 2, and saying like, but I chose not to take the advantage for myself, in that I could get a clue for a hidden immunity idol or whatever. He told a bit of a lie there and said, no, I rather chose the sweets, and here are some sweets for you guys. So I thought that those are the 4 players who made some good moves for me in this episode. What would you say, Golden Spear, Claudio? Who are your nominations?
I think this is going to be the first time where I do not disagree with you for this. So I think a lot of things you've hit the nail on the head with most of those players. For me, it's got to be Sipe. Sipe, she was the outsider in her tribe. I mean, coming into the Lomé tribe, the one man, she was isolated. She came back in. What she's doing really well, and she's calling herself the mother figure. But I think she's the politician. But she can't be a politician because she's got too much moral fiber about her. But she's really good at this stage to get the team to play together. And that's what she's doing. She's bringing them together. And that's the huge strength. And that ultimately leads to, again, Felix's demise, because she's the one that comes back saying, look, and I actually thought in the previous episode, it might have been Jacques causing the trouble. But obviously, if you look at Felix, damn, Felix paranoia. Sipe is like, I'm not having it. He's not a team player. He's actually undermining all of us. And I can't take that. I mean, I could take Jacques' stubbornness with not wanting to like stop playing in terms of the challenge, but not enough for Felix. He must go. So she did really well then. So yeah. I'm all for Sipe. Rob and Nathan, I think that's a 2-in-1. You can't just give the one the award without the other. They've come in, they're thinking long term. Their trust between the 2 of them is unfathomable. Like, you don't get that sort of trust in this game. And I don't know if it's because if you're looking at Survivor South Africa compared to Survivor USA, and we're looking at the Premier League versus the 2nd division, I'm not sure if that's the case. And because it's 2nd division, you're like, we can risk these mistakes. Guys are cutthroat there. They send you walking down the plank. I think this South African side, in this particular episodes, this is not necessarily, I mean, we can talk about the golden spear, but we should be spending more time on the wooden spoon. That's where, who don't be mentioned within the wooden spoon, and all the amount of mistakes that were made. But I think if we can come to consensus quickly, I think, who would you suggest? I mean, Rob and Nathan thinking far ahead and actually dictating Jeffrey going to the island, or Sipe being responsible ultimately for Felix going home?
I think I have to go with Sipe, because she made such a significant jump. I mean, Rob and Nathan are playing a good game, and they're being consistent, within the game. And like we said, they're thinking long term. But I think, Claudio, let's give the golden spear to Sipe. Are you ready for this?
Yeah. Stipe.
Enjoy your
Well
golden
done.
spear. You've earned it. So yeah, but
Definitely has.
like you said, in this episode, we actually had it was a bloodbath of contesting for the wooden spoon. We've got a lot of players in that category. I mean, we've got Felix bat mouthing his own tribe, which is an absolute no in Survivor. Then we've got Maba, who like really sucked at the physical challenge. I don't know what you thought of that. And then Jock, like, I mean, yes, he said that he can solve the puzzle in 90 seconds, and then an hour and a half later, he didn't solve it. I mean, that's just terrible. And that just goes to show what pressure can do to you. And also then Dante for wearing a ridiculous budgie smuggling Speedo. I think I'm surprised that we didn't mention that sooner. And yeah, also Nathan for trying to throw the challenge. And I mean, but doing it so obviously that Kobus at some point, you know, goes and looks at him and like, do you really want to win this challenge? You know, he gave it away. So those are my 5 contestants or 5 castaways for the wooden spoon. What are your take on that, Claudio?
Yeah, I think let's start with Meryl. I know you mentioned her for the Golden Spear, but Meryl, she did everything right up until the point that I think her number one mistake was trusting in Dante. Now, I understand they come from the former tribe that they were in. They both former Ta'alu members, so they're sticking together. But you put too much trust in him. And with regards to firstly trying to get the immunity idol, saying there's no way she could do it by herself, so she relied on him. Then when she actually gets to the immunity challenge and she gets it for herself, he goes and tells her the other sword, so you should tell everyone about it. So just to reinforce trust. And I think that was a bizarre choice. So in what world are you playing Survivor? Do you reveal your immunity idol? And already in the South African season, we've had that happen twice. 3 idols come up. Jacques plays it too early. The other one gets shared, Paul's idol. He shares with the tribe. He goes home. And Almeryl's done the same thing. So I think that's a big slip on her side. Durham. Sorry, I mean this guy is incredible. I don't know what planet he's on. He comes back from the last episode. Now he comes up. I mean, let's give him some credit. Now he's forced to think about the game a little bit. And he goes, maybe I can spark a connection with Jacques. And you know what? He didn't even have to do that. Jacques came to him. Great. Then he decides, he wants to add salt in the wound to send Felix home. After the tribe have already made a unanimous decision, we're going to send this guy home. He goes, yo, I'm going to play my fake immunity idol. And everyone's like, okay, well, sure thing, buddy. And then the oak manages to go swimming and loses fake immunity idol, which had no point, no purpose. So thank goodness there wasn't a real immunity idol. Completely lost that. So just for that, I think he deserves it because although he did redeem himself with tribal, his acting skills, I think that's probably the highlight of his Survivor career at the moment was the tribal, where the whole tribe acted quite well. And then Jacques, you mentioned Jacques, too stubborn, too proud. He didn't want to step away from it. He got too cocky as well. We know about Survivor. The moment you get cocky, whacking.
Yeah.
So, and then Nathan.
Yeah. So
I think. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think we should do here?
Claudio,
this is quite an evenly balanced thing. Who do you want to give?
Claudio, I think you've made a very good point. I actually forgot about Dural's. He's pathetic immunity idol, fake immunity idol. I think we should, instead of calling it the wooden spoon, call it Dural's idol. Because that's even worse. If I'd rather get a wooden spoon than get handed that piece of crap that he called a fake idol. And then, like you said, he went and lost it. So yeah, no, we had a lot of contestants, but I think let's give it to Dural. Let the fact that he lost his fake idol. So yeah, no, it was definitely an interesting episode in that regard. But yeah,
I
let's.
mean, to be fair, look, I mean, we are super harsh towards him. And to be fair, I don't know if he really couldn't trust the other three members saying they were going to vote Felix, so he was relying on that idol to convince Felix to like sway with him. I'm not too sure about that, so I doubt he thought about that. But
Yeah.
even then, it's one of those things where you go, well, cool, dude, you got this immunity idol. And then he still had the statement saying, "Oh, I'm not sure where to go now that I lost this idol." I mean, well, the
Yeah.
same place that you're going in the first place. So
Yeah.
interesting guys. I'm curious to see. Oh, another thing, I think we haven't spoken much about Letitia, primarily because there's not much to talk about her. But
Mm,
it's also interesting how Survivor is, despite the fact that it's all about strategy and where you land up, it's just as much as where the cards fall for you. And she's been incredibly lucky that she's in the strongest tribe. She's being carried at the moment. No one sees her as a threat. So if we're looking at the power rankings and specifically, and we don't have a name for this yet. So guys, if you're watching the show and you want to give us a name along the lines of who the best players are within the game, please give that to us. But if we're looking specifically within the power rankings, I mean, Letitia's name's not even in the top 10, Kobus. And
yeah.
yet I think that's a strong position to be in at this point in time post pre-merge.
Yes, Claudia, I think it's definitely one of those things where it's something you see in a lot of survivors where you've got this one player which is completely useless and they get carried by the other players to the end because of that fact, because they know that people won't vote for them you know uh, for as a sole survivor. So they call it coattailing. I don't know if you've heard the term before, but where you just basically tag along with someone else who's a much stronger player. And I think Letitia's got the potential to belong to that category where she coattails one of the stronger players until the end, and they take her along for the reason that that they know they can win her or the weaker player. Um, when it's the final tribal council, when they've got to vote for who the sole survivor is. But in any case, that's my thought on Letitia. And with regards to the 5 strongest players, I would definitely have to say at this stage the Amigos are doing fantastically well. So
is that including Steffi though?
Steffi, we haven't seen much of her in this episode. But it's hard to tell what's gonna, how things will play out for her. But she's been a prominent figure, in the shows, in the episode so far. So I'm gonna have to go. My vote for the top 5 would be the 5 guys who are brewing the storm at this stage. Is gonna have to be Rob, Nathan, Steffi, Nicole, and then I'm going to have to say, I think, Jock is definitely, he's thinking long term. He's making some screw ups, but, he still has an idol in his possession that he hasn't played. He still has an advantage in the game, which he got in episode 1. And so, I'm going to say those are my top 5 for now. Your thoughts, Claudio?
Well, I've got a clear top 5 in mind, but before I get to the top 5, I just want to break down the current tribes and the status. I mean, if we're focusing on Ta'alu, sorry, you've got Dante, you've got Meryl, 2 former Ta'alu tribe members. You've got Rocco, you've got Letitia, 2 former Lome, and you've got Rob and Nicole. So of the top 5, we know who's thinking there. You're saying the Amigos. Rob said it clearly. Rocco is not much of a game player. I don't think he is a saint, according to Rob. So it's easy to sway. Letitia, like you said, they're going to carry for numbers. So within this tribe, apart from Meryl having the immunity, Meryl's in a bit of a power position now because she's got the immunity idol. Dante himself, I don't think he's a good enough player to win this game because he sees everything at face value, and this Survivor's not about face value. If we look at Saula, we've got still the 3 former Lome with Jeffrey, Mike, and Mamba. And then we've got Nathan, Steffi, and then Kobus. And Nathan being convinced that Kobus is a part of their 3. So if anything happens within that tribe, if they lose the immunity challenge next, I mean, it's going to be a 3-way split if what Nathan's saying is correct. So Nathan's already worked that angle, whereas the other 3 are relying on their numbers instead of working Kobus. So it would have been interesting to see Jeffrey or Mike or Mamba, one of them, trying to get Kobus saying, listen, come to us, we 4, then they 2. But that hasn't happened. We haven't seen any of that because, again, like I said, this is second division here. This isn't the Premier League. So that level of strategic thinking isn't at play, apart from Rob, Jacques, and Nathan. And then if you look at Laume, now that Felix is gone, you see a bit more cohesion. You see a group feeling. You've got the Jacques, you've got Tanya, Sipe, and Durang. Durang, no danger there whatsoever. He's going to do whatever's said or whatever's fed to him. And then you've got the 3 wild cards. And I love the 3 wild cards. And for me, these 3 are in my top 5. Jacques, we know, like Rob said, students of the game. Tanya, that shit crazy doobie Tanya can do anything at any minute. We've seen that. So super excited. And then Sipe. Now, Sipe, if she keeps going the way she's going, for me, she's number 1. Because she's not burning bridges. She's fighting for survival. And arguably, again, you look at her and Tanya, both should have been out of this game already, and they still keep going. So my top 5 would be Jacques, or let me start with Sipe. Then it would be the Rob and Nathan, because those 2 are calling big shots in both, and they're controlling, the best part is they're controlling 2 separate tribes, but still keeping their alliance. And then you've got, so that's 3. Then you've got Tanya, and then Nicole's got to be a part of that, because Nicole's, she's not a prominent figure within that Amigo alliance, but she's definitely got a say. So that's my top 5.
Claudio, I think excellent top 5, especially with Sipe there as well. I think I would have liked to also put her in my top 5 or put her at 6 at least. But she's definitely playing the game. And I must say, she and Tanya, like you've mentioned, they've come a long way. They've, you know, whereas I would have said they should have been the first ones out. They're still in the game. And they're growing on me as players. I mean, Tanya she's becoming a bit level-headed. You know, I think she was in the beginning of the game, she was like all over the show. And now she's just like, you know, evening out a bit. So I think the fact that she is just chilled out, that makes me like her a bit more. But yeah, no, not to say that she's ever going to make my top 5. I don't know. But yeah, I've just wanted to mention this one thing. I think Laume has got to be careful at this stage. I think they're quite a cohesive tribe now, and I think they're really going to play to win the next couple of challenges. But they're at a risk of following a tribe known as Oolong. I don't know if you've known about that Oolong tribe. They're the only tribe to have ever ended up in Survivor with one tribe, with one tribe, because they sucked so bad. They lost so many challenges that they had to vote off all the tribe members. So I think they must be a little bit careful of that. But I hope it's not going to go that route. And I really hope they show up to the next challenges and that they end up winning a couple of challenges.
No, I think they're okay for this next or for episode 6 coming up. I think the cohesion is going to carry them through the challenges. I've always said I'd rather have a team of honest players than have a couple of superstars, because eventually the ego is going to get in the way and they're going to crumble. So if you look specifically at the Taolu, based on what we've seen, because I guess we'd be filtering into the Storm's Brewing section now, if you see what happened or what they're discussing, is there's definitely a breakdown in trust, there's a breakdown in morale, a couple of things are said, and apparently there are lies that are going to be said in this next episode that are transparent, so clearly not good lies, and the rest of the tribe. So that always causes trouble. So I think for now, Lamay are safe. But if you look at the numbers, we've got 6 in Talu, we've got 6 in Saula, and we've got 4 in Laume. So if something does happen, I don't think the producers are going to let the show continue like that up until like a tribe has 1 member. I think they will eventually do another shuffle to keep it interesting. So I don't think we'll see something like that, primarily because it's not going to be entertaining. But I feel like the other tribes are going to pick each other off before that happens.
Yeah, Claudio, I must say, I'm looking forward to episode 6. I do think it's going to be quite entertaining. And yeah, I'm looking forward to having a chat then with you again next week about episode 6's analysis. Thank you for joining me in this episode. Any last thoughts from your side?
Yes, I want to know, does Niku make it out with his bag in time, or does that great white get it?
Yes, yeah, no, that is, I mean, that bag it's basically in the great white's mouth. So it is. That's for sure not a position I would like to be in. So yeah, maybe we can get Nico's thoughts on it on on one episode. But yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's
that would be lovely.
a pretty cool background that I've got here, courtesy of Mr. Barreiro, my co-host. So yeah.
There's something I forgot I need to mention. The 3D work is done by Warren Pereira. If you're interested in getting any 3D work done, his email address will be at the bottom in the description. So thanks again, Warren. And thanks for the show. Woohoo!
Alrighty. Thank you, guys. This is from TNO side. We are out.
Yeah.